This is the Appliance Alliance podcast, where we are elevating the appliance industry, one podcast at a time. Welcome to the Appliance Alliance podcast. I am your host with the most equipment, Zach Kreider, owner of Gordon's Appliance Repair in Chicagoland, Illinois, and my co-host, as always, the man with a plan. He needs no introduction, yet I still give him one every single week, Mr. TK Cousins.
What's going on, everybody? Happy to be here. I'm super excited about this week's episode. I started the Appliance Apprentice Group quite a long time ago, and one of the things that I'm most happy about is kind of manifested from the Appliance Apprentice Group is the roundtable discussions on Thursday nights. And tonight's guest has been a key part of that whole thing. He has been there since day one, dropping wisdom. And I'm not going to give him an introduction because I want him to introduce himself, but Bobby Howard is here tonight with us, and I am super excited to hear from him and his experience in the appliance industry. Bobby, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a Sagittarius.
Ooh, get out of here, man.
I own Pace Appliance. I started my company August 15th, 2020. I've been a technician for just a little over 20 years now, and really excited about jumping in and finding new challenges. As most, decade-in technicians will tell you, yeah, sometimes it can get a little boring working on the same thing over and over. But I got eyes wide open. I'm finding a whole new chapter of the other side of the fence here. And, I'm really enjoying it.
So I've been in this business for 8 years, and I've owned my business for 5 years. And this 2020, man, was a really interesting year to be an appliance technician as well as an appliance owner. What made you make the switch from just being a technician to, you know what, I'm going to launch my own company in the craziest year ever?
So it's more than just that. I was a lead technician for a local company here in St. Louis, and I took a 2-year contract to work out of state. So I was in Indianapolis for the past 2 years. With that, I didn't have family or friends or lifelines up there, and I was paid salary. And also being the lead tech, I was pushing 12-hour days almost daily, and not getting paid for them. I would have my 40 hours by Thursday, and my daughter would have a state championship for her band concert on Friday. I'd take a half day and I'd get my paycheck docked, even though I already hit my hours. And it's because I took half a day off. So many of that built up, kind of pushed me over the edge. So I put in my 2 weeks, and while still up in Indiana, I made it work. When I moved back here to Missouri. I was a partnership with another company in the very beginning stages, and realized trying to run Missouri the way I wanted and then Indiana the way they wanted, we weren't really meeting eye to eye there. So I sold my partnership and cashed in my 401 and launched my own company. So this year, 2020, has been a real curveball for me. Moving, back out of state, moving home, launching my own company all in the same year. And I gotta say, I only regret I have doing this is why I didn't do it earlier.
Yeah, I hear that, man. Like, I could totally see, like, anybody, like, there's two different types of people. There's a type of people that are built to be a technician, and then there's a type of people that are built to be a business owner. And the vibe that I've gotten from you from day one is that you're built to be a business owner. Like, you have that mentality where you've been in this thing since August, and like, you already get how it is and how it's supposed to be and how to grow your business and make it successful. Let me ask you this: when you first got into appliance repair, what were the things that you struggled most with when you first got into it? Like, what were some of the hurdles that you had, obstacles you had to overcome when you first got into appliance repair?
Variety. It would have to be variety. When I first started working in appliances, I was looking at washers and dryers and stoves. I jumped right into the deep end of the pool. And it was, a lot of it was going over my head. And I've always worked my way up the ladder and excelled. So when I got put into a world that I wasn't familiar with, I was humbled. The first 6 months I was doing this, what's the terminology? Fake it till you make it.
100%.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did. And I started learning common rates, and my background has always been electrical. I came from the TV end of things. My father was disabled and owned a TV repair store. So with him being disabled, I was working on TVs at the age of 14. I could do convergence jobs before I could legally drive. So my soldering skills and my ability to read a schematic, that's always been secondhand to me. Just applying it to a different type of theory and application. That's where I had to learn and evolve. The money was way better than TV, so I wasn't going to put it down. And I picked up that ball, and I've been running with it since.
I love that you said that, man. I love that you said it was just taking and applying a skill that you already had to a different way of thinking. I've said it before. I am a licensed airframe and power plant mechanic till surrendered, suspended, or revoked. And so I learned my schematics. I learned my electronics in that world, and I learned how to troubleshoot and flow and turn wrenches from doing that. And when I came into the appliances, it was just a slight shift in a mindset. Like, okay, I'm learning a new system. How does this particular system work versus the systems that I was working on? It's all systems. It's all troubleshooting.
Pretty much, yeah. But once you learn, and you learn the ability to troubleshoot, it doesn't matter what you're troubleshooting because you know how to troubleshoot. You find and identify your problem. You divide the circuit in half. You rule out the givens, and you focus on like where that problem originates. So yeah, being a business owner this year, the troubleshooting still applied. I still had to try to figure out and try to conquer what I could and divide it in half. So being a technician first and a business owner second, I found that customers really like that. They really respond to that. Where I'm not, Mr. Owner, sitting behind a desk looking to see how I can improve my profits and reduce my costs. I'm a technician first, and I'm looking at, how can I make my customer experience better, and how can I get this repair done quicker? Profit's a byproduct of good work, and that's, I guess, my mindset.
Man, you are just dropping some truth bombs tonight, Bobby. I just absolutely love that. I love that mindset. I love that work ethic. That is phenomenal. I feel like business owners like us are kind of the exception to the rule, unfortunately, right? Like I feel like the way you're describing to build a business, the way you're describing how you interact with customers, like that's normal. Like that, just to me, that's normal. But I feel like there's so many guys that don't view the world that way,
Right.
So troubleshooting, it sounds like you're not afraid of anything. Are there any particular appliances, brands, anything that you're just like, I'm not going to touch that?
Um, that's a kind of a tricky question, because do I look at it as, am I wasting my time here? Am I wasting the customer's money here? Or is it something that I don't want to do? I mean, because those categories kind of drift apart a little bit there. Stuff I don't want to do, it's going to be the stuff that doesn't make a lot of money, and it's going to be harder, as far as the labor time and critique. I'm just like everybody else, I want to be lazy. I want the easy calls and want to, go home early. But at the end of the day, being a business owner, if it's on my doorstep, I'm pulling my wrenches out.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a great way to look at that. And at the same time, like I think that's where it's important. I think that's where customers are going to respect you, because if you're wasting their time and money, that is something that you should be stepping away from and sending it to someone else. But if it's just, I want to go home early, maybe that's not the best call to give away. Suck it up and
Right.
dive in.
So I guess if I had to choose, what would be my go-to guns, is a standard. It's I only been in business now 6 months, but I have my standard. So I want to take one photo a day of, for my business. I want to get one 5-star review a day. So I try to find that one customer that has a really good experience with my company. And I want to make sure that customer is over the top, and explain to them, I'd really like to have a review, and, you share your opinion. Whether or not I give them a coupon or I give them a good deal, if I take a little bit of a loss on that ticket, to ensure that, I don't know, it's not bribery, because I laid it out and just got it done.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've definitely picked up from you, just, hanging out in the round tables. And if anybody doesn't join round tables, I highly recommend every Thursday night, 8 o'clock. If you're not there, you're missing out, because there's a lot of good knowledge drops and a lot of good talks. But one thing I've picked up from you is that you're not afraid to give a customer a discount. And that's one thing that I've actually started implementing since I heard you say that and talk about it so much. I've started giving out the craziest, weirdest discounts. It doesn't matter what it is, but every call I go on, I try to implement a discount. And how has that worked for you? Just you've talked about doing rock, paper, scissors with customers and all different things. How has that worked for you as far as 5-star reviews and just making the customer happy?
All right. So if you present yourself in a way where a customer likes you, are they going to call you back? Irregardless,
Absolutely.
got it done on the first day or 10 days. If the customer likes you, they're going to call you. You are who they trust. You are who they like. You are their go-to guy. So, and some customers that are, they're hecklers, and you pay scissor them, like you just said, or other ones where, you did the blankets, you did the booties, you wore the gloves, the mask, you went all out and did everything professional. If that's what that customer is wanting, what you have to do is develop that read and be able to understand, what your customers are looking out and looking for, in the company they're calling, and provide that. As far as the discount goes and the 5-star reviews, I spend close to, because this is my first year, I'm pushing $2,000 a month in Google Ads. And I have no problem with it, because that is my source. When you actually look at that and then you divide it by the call volume and you look at the ratio, I'm making it fine. But with all these customers that I'm giving great service to, and I'm giving them discounts, and I'm giving them exactly what they're looking for, they're my advertisement as well. Because if you look at and you do the analytics on the month, and you say, I had 6 months, in, and I've already have 144 referrals. how much money would it cost me to generate an additional 144 calls versus how much I discounted to get those? It's the same thing either way, but you're getting positive word of mouth from your clients and your customers, which is worth its weight in gold. So in reality, you're giving discount, you're getting more in the long run than you are in the short game trying to get that extra $10.
Guys, if you're not paying attention, Bobby is dropping truth bombs right now. He is telling you how to grow an amazing business by adding value to people's lives. He is adding value every day to his customers' lives, and he is growing an amazing business because he's investing in other people. We've talked about it before. You make investments when you're a business owner, when you're a technician, whether it's in tools, whether it's in people, whether it's in whatever. Bobby is showing you right now how to invest into your customers and grow an amazing business and just be an amazing person. Pay attention to this man. Holy cow. That is amazing. I want to ask you a follow-up question with this, Bobby. You haven't been in business that long. As far as owning your own business, I want to make sure I clarify that. And you kind of hit on it a little bit. Have you had to fire a customer yet?
Oh, you would do that, wouldn't you? Yeah, I did. I had to fire one. Actually, I fired two so far. And one was okay with it, and the other one wasn't. But at the end of the day, it started out. I had a customer call me, and they already had the part, and they wanted me to give them an estimate over the phone on what I would charge them to install the part. It was a Electrolux dryer, and they said they had a heating element that needed replaced. And if you guys are familiar with the Electrolux dryers, this is the three-way element that likes to sag and touch against the shield. So they gave me the part number that they had because I wanted to confirm it was that before I went out there, because it was a 45-minute drive one way. And the customer told me the part number, and when I looked it up, it was actually a heater for a wash machine. And I asked the customer, was this for a washer or a dryer? And they said, a dryer. I've already told you that. I'm like, I understand, but the part number you gave me is for a wash machine. This isn't a part for a dryer at all. The customer said he just Googled it, and that's what he bought. And I said, look, if you can give me the model number, I'll look at the part up. I'll be happy to get the job done. I'll come out and I'll get it done day one for you. And I told him, the cost. When I got there, it was a little different. It wasn't just a, heating element like he described. If you guys are familiar with it, the thermal fuse on the exhaust vent, when it opens up, you get a door latch error code. So having this door latch error code, now I was presented with something I didn't have in my stock. And I explained it to the customer. I was like, what you told me and what I'm here with, I'd be happy to fix it, but I do require an additional part I don't have. I gave the customer the estimate, and it was virtually $15 more because that's the cost. I'm not charging them additional for a second trip. I'm not charging them additional labor. I'm charging them for the additional part. The customer, whoa, and I'm double talking and I'm doing this and that. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not double talking you at all. I'm sorry you feel that way. And I wrote everything up on the ticket and I showed it to them. Well, they wanted a copy of it. And I said, not a problem. What's your email? They're like, oh, I don't give out my email. There's too many crooks out there. And I'm like, well, I can have one mailed to you, but you won't get it for a day or two. And they're like, no, I want it right now. She went over and got the back of an envelope, and she goes, I need your driver's license, and I want you to write it down. I'm like, this is not how I document a payment. I'm not going to write on the back of an envelope, this and that. I said, I'll be happy to, send you one, however you like. But I can't justify, documenting a payment through my company on the back of a used envelope. And so finally, with all these red flags going off, I finally told the customer, I'm like, look, I'm not going to charge you guys anything for coming out today, but there might be a better company out there that's going to give you more of what you're looking for than what I'm capable of doing as from my company point. So I am going to encourage you to call somebody else. Here's your money back. I'm not charging you anything. And I got called a white supremacist. I got called. I need to, find God in my life. It was the email is pretty lengthy.
You can't see this, guys, but TK and I are sitting here cringing and shaking and laughing because we've all had this customer. We have all had this customer in our lives.
Well, what I'm sitting here thinking is the whole time is, man, I have fired customers for way less than what he's talking about. Like, you're saying as far as concerned, because like you talk crossways to my CSR, you're fired. Not really, but I mean, yeah,
oh, no,
you're a saint for that.
I'll fire him. I'll fire him. You talk back to my CSR. You give her crap. You're gone, because if you're gonna treat my CSR like that on the phone, you're gonna treat my technicians worse, and we're not playing that game.
Right.
Well, here's the thing that here's a question I have. Like, it's been my experience. They will talk crap to my CSR, and then I'll get there, and they'll be the nicest person on the face of the earth to me. And it's like, well, why did you treat my CSR with such disrespect? Why didn't you treat my CSR with the same respect you're treating me now? Because she is just as much important to the operation as I am. She is just as much a key part of this machine as I am. So I get real offended when any customer disrespects my CSR, for sure.
Yeah, the Jekyll and Hyde syndrome is one of the more common you'll usually see.
So what I want you guys to take away from that, and you're talking to three guys here who have a ton of experience. Do not just be chasing the dollar. At the end of the day, there are some customers who you are just not going to make happy. I don't care if you gave them service that was just like 1,000%. You are not going to make them happy, even if you do the right thing. And don't be afraid to walk away. Just wave the service call, smile, have a nice day, and leave the house. Do not be afraid to do that. Your sanity is worth so much more than a couple bucks.
Yeah, and that has been a reoccurring topic on the roundtables, and something that Bobby has talked about, and I know I've heard him and other members of the group talk about several times, where Bobby, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby's the type of guy that likes to more focus on a certain type of client. He's got a business, and this is the client and the customer that he wants. And one thing that I've learned from Bobby is it's okay to say no. It's okay to say, hey, you might not be the customer for me, and there's different ways around that. But would you agree with that, Bobby?
Yeah. The biggest point that you should take from this is sometimes walking away is the smarter option. If you try to insist on that money and, well, this is what's owed to me and this is what's mine, what you're going to do is you're going to make a unhappy customer even more upset. And what does a customer that's really upset with your customer service do? They go online, they try to vent. And that's the one thing that trying to earn that $75 that you feel justified in costs you way more than what that $75 was worth, or whatever your service charge is. So by walking away and taking nothing, you gained everything from it because you didn't lose anything. Defending a bad position is worse than trying to just walk away with nothing.
So I've seen you in the group. I'm going to kind of diverge here because we can go down this rabbit hole for quite a while, and we're definitely going to have you back on to talk more because you got a lot of knowledge in that head of yours. But I see you in the group helping guys with sealed systems, and it seems like it's like a white whale. for some guys, right? And it's just like this big scary monster. So, like, what's a piece of advice you'd give guys about sealed systems? I know that was kind of on the spot there, but
Yeah, no, the key is practice. I mean, it's really hard to walk into a customer's house and use their refrigerator as your little test dummy. Go buy a $80 refrigerator from wherever. Go buy a used one on Craigslist. Take it home, torch it, play with it, cut it apart, put it back together, fix it. Learn what symptoms do what on your way to customers' homes. Watch YouTube videos. How does a sealed system work? What is a vapor cycle? How do I get my EPA license? These steps are crucial to your first approach. It's like anything else. You don't just pick up a fishing pole and know how to fish. But you don't want to, make that mistake in front of people and get caught with your pants down.
For sure. Yeah, that's one of my goals for this year, man. I'm gonna get into sealed systems. I don't want that to be my specialty, but me and my partner have both agreed that we don't want to be expecting something of our technicians that we're not willing to do ourselves. So we're all going to learn it together. We're all going to venture into the sealed system world together. And I don't know why it's so intimidating for me, but the more I learn about it and the more I study, the more I think, it's really not that intimidating. It's one of those things, like you said, it's just like anything else. You want to learn and get your mistakes out before you're in the customer's house behind their refrigerator trying to get it taken care of. So definitely looking forward.
Let me break it to you this, TK. How many parts, how many components are in the dryer? Simplified.
How many? I don't know off the top of my head, to be perfectly honest with you.
Let's call it a belt drive, a motor, a heater, a drum, a main board. Let's break it down to 5-6 components, right? All right. So now we're going to do that same approach to refrigeration. How many key points are in a sealed system? We have a condenser, a compressor, an evaporator, a dryer filter, a heat exchange or a throttle system, an inverter to drive the compressor, and temperature sensors to tell the main board when it should and shouldn't be on. When you go in and diagnose it, let's eliminate the obvious. Is the compressor running? Yes. Do we have heat at the condenser? Yes. So we have compression. So if we have compression, that means there's refrigerant in there. So now we look at the frost pattern. Do we have a frost pattern? Do we have an airflow problem? Do we have a sealed system problem or a different type of issue? By eliminating the obvious, you're leaving yourself with limited, options. It's either going to be this, or that. Well, then that's when you actually try to investigate and prove which one it is and which one it isn't.
So you actually have to diagnose and be a technician and not just assume
that's crazy
it's the
talk,
compressor.
Man.
There's only so many you can lay your hand on something and be like, I know what this is.
I mean, we're not genies, so like you can't just go in and go, it is the compressor. The compressor is bad. I am 100% sure you need a sealed system job. You actually have to be a technician and diagnose and figure out what the problem is.
Well, Bobby, let me ask you this, man. We are thinking of putting together some Patreon type material for our viewers that decide to support us. Would you be interested in doing some videos with us, maybe some sealed system stuff or whatever in the Patreon account?
So on my last company that I worked for, because I was a lead tech and I was in Indiana, I was bringing in technicians and, like making sure and having to go do their cleanup work. Because a lot of this had to do with sealed system work. And I had a lot of technicians that weren't sealed system technicians telling me, hey, compressor's bad, evaporator's bad. I had to teach these guys sealed systems. So what I did was I got bored. one weekend, and I had a bunch of parts, and I made a Frankenstein. I made a test jig. I put a compressor in there, an evaporator fan, thermistor, you name it. But I also put in some added features. I could dial down the fan speed and create a problem. I could close off one of the hose lines and create a restricted, dryer filter. I could open up a line and create a leak. I have the ability to create any symptom I wanted with my test jig. And then when I had that symptom, ask the technicians to diagnose it. And, looking at the problem and having everything outside of a refrigerator there running, it was actually really easy. Monitor your current draw on your compressor, compared to your evaporator and your condenser temperatures. Be able to make a conclusion based on the things that that way you can find out what problems you don't.
So I think an awesome thing, if you're willing, Bobby, for the Patreon, the supporters, because again, all that money is going towards growing the community and giving back to the technicians that are the backbone of the industry. I think an amazing Patreon, if you're willing to do it, would be walking us step by step through how to create that test jig. Because I'm sitting here shaking my head going, man, that is like the way to learn, the absolute best way to learn. And I think it would be so cool if you'd be willing to do that for our supporters. If you are, you can say no to me. It's all right.
No, that's all right. I don't mind. Like I said, now it's a Frankenstein. So, don't expect to run this thing for 2 years and make ice, but
yeah, but the point of it is to learn, and I think that's an amazing tool, and that's going to be an amazing gift for you guys. Bobby has brought some real truth bombs, and he is definitely going to be on with us again. We're not gonna give you everything, because I can tell there's a lot more coming from Bobby. Is there any wrap up you got for us, TK, today?
Well, I just want to say, first of all, thank you, Bobby, for coming on, man. I'm sure you've heard me say it before, but you're one of the guys that I totally respect in this industry. As I'm learning and I'm growing, you're one of the guys that I look at and say, man, this guy is one of the technicians that I aspire to be like. So I appreciate you coming on, and I look forward to networking with you in the future, man. I just appreciate it a lot.
Oh man, this is my first year, jumping into my own. So I kind of feel like the low man on the pole again. So I'm kind of looking to everybody else, that kind of, like hold my hand like a 5-year-old and teach me how to do this stuff.
We all have perspective.
You're doing great. You're doing great, man. You're doing great for your first year, and anybody that's getting into it would do well to follow your model and what you've done, man. You've done a great job.
It was excellent to talk to you tonight, Bobby, and we really appreciate you taking the time. So this is going to be the Appliance Alliance podcast, and we are signing off.